on to the Indy Colts. The Colts are a team with a lot of questions right now, and they are a team that has a lot of different elements going into the season. They have a running quarterback that is seen as a guy that can be um, maybe the next Cam Newton because he can run and throw and he's big and he can do a lot of special things out there on the football field. Now, what does he have behind him? Jonathan Taylor is already your disgruntled running back who wants out and wants to get um, a a greener pasture in a sense because he knows that he's not going to get paid and Ursay has already pretty much, confirmed that he's not going to pay him. And you know what the saddest part about this is, too, Jeff? He wears number 28. And let's just know that he did the same thing to Marshall Faulk, an NFL Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning running back, who probably would have been able to get you a Super Bowl a lot earlier in Peyton's career if you would have just paid him. You know what I mean? And it's good that they established that he wasn't going to get paid now because now they know exactly what to do. But I feel like Jonathan Taylor being a distraction at this time is the worst possible time to do, Jeff. I'm sorry. Because they were about you're the face of the franchise. You're already getting paid good money as is. And you have a quarterback coming in that's going to make you look really, really good next season because he can, make like they can be a deceptive duo with the RPO and everything like that. But when it comes down to it, this team finished 4-12 last year, and they had a good point of the season where what they were like 4-2 at one point, Jeff, and then they dropped 10 in a row.
Yep.
And that's what was wrong with this Colts team. They really fooled all of us because we had this Colts team. Most people had this Colts team winning the South last year because they had Matt Ryan and they have Michael Pittman Jr. and they have Jonathan Taylor. They had guys that were seen as some of the best playmakers in the division. So how do you lose the division? Well, your team literally was a mash unit because your defense, most of those guys got hurt. And the crazy thing about this is, too, Jeff, the Colts had the leading tackler in the NFL. I know because I interviewed him during Super Bowl week, Zaire Franklin. So they have players, they have people in place, and it's not going to be as bad as a lot of people think it's going to be in Indianapolis. And when you look at this team, you see that okay, they have an over under of 6 wins, 6.5 wins this year. Their championship odds are 5-1. Now I know that it sounds crazy today, but this team could be a dark horse to win the division. They got a brand new coach. They got a brand new philosophy and they got themselves a young quarterback that can move. But that doesn't mean anything until we start the season. But I'm just saying the way that the roster's been built to where they can actually still run the table in this division. This division is not a difficult division when you look at it, when you really look at it at the end of the day. I know Jacksonville is getting a lot of love because Trevor Lawrence and coming back and going on that run that they did to finish up the season and everything last year. But people have to understand it's about this year. It's not about what happened the last 8 weeks of last season. It's about what's going on this year. And it seems like every time they overhype a team in the AFC South, they really do shoot themselves in the foot. What are your thoughts on the Colts moving forward for this year? Do you think this team has any type of possibility of winning this division? Because that 5-1 is a good look at is some value, in my opinion. And if you look at it in the sense of we're in a wide open division, you could take that to the bank because the over 6.5 is very doable, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts, Jeff?
Um, we anointed them last year. They were the team to beat, and then again, good start, and then just faded off into the sunset. Had quarterback problems, and then it was just like quicksand. And this year, there's a lot of turmoil, meaning with the Jonathan Taylor. They gave him till Tuesday to find a home. They already rejected the first Miami offer. They're sitting in the catbird seat because they know Miami wants them. The Eagles are knocking on the door as well. A couple other, teams in the back seat, like the Bears, for instance. But my point is, it's preseason, and Anthony Richardson can't hit a broadside of the barn. He is so raw. He's hitting less than 50% in the preseason. He's just, listen, I always go back to this. Why? Because it worked. When Andy Reid and the Chiefs moved up to draft Patrick Mahomes, and before Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes, they handed him the clipboard. And they said, son, you see that quarterback over there? His name is Alex Smith. He is our quarterback this year. You take all the notes possible. He is your mentor. Next year, you're going to start. And that's what Anthony needs here. And so many times you force these kids in to first-year situations, and they're not ready, and some get ruined. Just look at the Jets. Zach Wilson was ruined after year one. Now you add the Jonathan Taylor. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is not going to be a good quarterback. He's not going to be a good quarterback this year. He could run for 1,000-yard pops. But he just, when he needs to make those completions and move the chains, if it's not with his legs, he's not going to make that completion. So it's a division where, yes, Jacksonville is the team to beat. They have probably the best coach in the division with Mr. Peterson, even though I'm a big Vrabel fan. Okay. So I think the 6.5 is high, especially with no Taylor. He's not going to be there this year. So whether he comes back without a trade on Tuesday and he sits out, I don't know. But again, Michael Pittman on the outside, good wide receiver. Defense is good. Offensive line's good. I just don't think they're ready. I would currently bet the under 6.5, but I'm rooting for him, Pops.
Hey, and you know what, Jeff? I'm not signed up for the over 6.5 here. Okay. I just thought that, we could probably put the Texans at, well, they're at 5.5 at some books as well, too. But the Texans being at 6, that's a little bit much. So when I see the Colts at 6.5, I'm gonna say 7-10 might be doable for this team. Because once again, the Colts will probably be a team that will be much better later as they grow and as they process. But this is, like I told Mike last night on his show, on the Mike Abadir show that I'm a co-host for. You guys can catch that every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Jeff's time Eastern on Voice of America. So if you guys want to ever catch that, and you can call in as well too. So what I was saying last night, and it was at the end of the show, so he had to interrupt me. So I said this: Houston Texans, they got a rookie quarterback who has a big ego. Colts, they have a rookie quarterback that's a project. Okay, Jacksonville has the number 1 pick in the draft from a few years ago, the Golden Boy, Trevor Lawrence. And then you look at the Titans and you say, who the hell do they have? They have an over-the-hill quarterback and 2 young quarterbacks. So they are in a quarterback controversy somewhat. You know what I mean? So when I look at it and you see that we don't have a dominant quarterback, because we can't call Trevor Lawrence a dominant quarterback until we see him have a full 17-game season where he actually dominates at least 80% of that season. Because I felt like schedule and timing really played a part in them making the playoffs last year, because they were one of the worst teams in the NFL before that Raiders game. And they just turned it on. So that's why the only reason why I'm giving the Colts somewhat of an inkling of an opportunity is because I feel like the division is just too wide open at this point, and that these divisional games are not going to be walks in the park for anybody. And especially when you got to go to Indianapolis and go play in the old RCA Dome, you're going to have to hear that crowd. And they're going to be quiet confident this year. And that's why, they don't have real expectations. So sometimes when a team like the Colts, who don't have real expectations, these are the teams that sneak up on you, and they're the ones that cover for you as well too.
No, I agree. Who's Richardson's backup?
Your boy, uh, Uncle Rico himself, Minshew.
Correct. They have a better opportunity to win this year, not to progress, not to get ready for year two, like when I talked about Stroud and Harrison next year. Okay. My point here is this is they have their only problem last year was quarterback. A couple years ago it was Rivers. Then would they get Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan couldn't throw me to you 20 yards without a hook and lateral. He was just that bad. And now Anthony's going to bring excitement. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to put fannies in the seats. He's going to we talk about Jalen Hurts 2 years ago. Take the snap, first look, covered, put the ball down and run. That's what Anthony's going to do. And again, I get it. But are you going to kill him like Zach Wilson because he's that raw? He only had a handful of games in Florida. He's built like a brick. You know what? He's Cam Newton on steroids. And I'm not even going to put the pressure on him to say he's going to be the next Cam Newton. He has all the possibilities. Cam Newton won a national title. Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl. Cam Newton won an MVP. Those are big shoes to fill. He's just not ready right now for that. It's proven in the preseason, and it's only preseason. The bright lights are going to come on. The expectation is going to be there in the RCA Dome. It's going to take that first snap. Pittman's covered. He's going to put the ball down, and he's going to run for 45 yards, and everyone's going to applaud. Well, what are they going to do when he starts the season 1-5? Do they want Gardner Minshew, or do they want to see the progressions? That's what we're looking for, progressions. Add to Jonathan Taylor. They need to get that deal done. Get him out of camp. Gone. Get your prospects, get your draft picks, and move on. Don't hold Taylor and the movement, as you like to say, the movement, hostage. Get it done, get it over with. If you can't get the first, get a couple seconds. Just get it done and over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. And this is the bed that you made. You're going to have to sleep in.
Hey, I totally agree. And you know what? I just truly feel that this is a move that they're making because this is up top. This is up top confirming they want Richardson starting. This isn't, and the head coach going along with it because he's a robot. So pretty much, he has to prove himself. Richardson has to prove himself. They're all putting themselves in a bad position right now. And we know that that's going to be something that they'll be talking about a lot during the next few weeks. But they want to do this so the fans can have something to be excited about. This is all about selling seats, man. And you know that, Jeff. So pretty much let's move forward because we did talk about them a little bit longer than I think we need to talk about the Colts. But, hey, there's a lot of questions